When Commander Sanders asked me to speak to his staff, I said, yes, absolutely, not a problem, right? It's a nice guy. I mean, how can you say no to Commander Sanders, right? So, but when he walked off, I thought to myself, at the time I didn't know he was a commander in the military, so I said, what does he do? Who am I about to speak to, right? So I began to create a story in my mind, like, okay, he's a smart guy, so maybe he's into education. Yeah, I'm speaking to the teachers, right? And then I said, no, he's pretty slick, so maybe he's a salesperson. Yeah, I'm speaking to the salespeople, right? The sales department. But when I found out that he was a commander in the military in the world finest U.S. Coast Guard, I was blown away. I was so excited, but here's why. Here's why. Because I'm like, we're family. I'm like your brother from another mother, but with the same uncle, Uncle Sam. Like I spent 8 years in the U.S. Navy. 8 years U.S. Navy. I went over to Iraq, spent some time over there, and I said, man, this is awesome to actually be able to come back and speak to my family. So whenever I have an opportunity to share and connect, I'm so excited and I'm humbled. I say thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me. Now, how many of you, just by show of hands, can relate to what you just saw in the video? Show of hands. Can you show of hands? Yeah, like you started out the year, you're on fire, right? You're on fire. You have these dreams and these goals, but then about a month, 2 months in, you fall off. You know, you say, okay, I'll commit to going to the gym 4 days a week, but after a month, you're 1 or 2 days a month, right? So you say, okay, I have these dreams to build a business or to write a book, but about a couple of weeks in, everything fizzles out. So here, it's okay, because today we're going to talk about TMI. Not too much information, TMI, right? We're going to talk about how to touch, motivate, and inspire through the power of your story. Through the power of your story. So, I know just by doing this for a while, I know that there's at least, looking at the numbers, there's at least 3 people in here that's thinking to yourself, who in the world is Terrence Stamps, right? Who's that guy, right? You don't have to raise your hand, don't make me feel bad. But I know there's at least 3 people in here that's thinking, where does he come from? Who is he? Right? How is he qualified? Like, he's no Tony Robbins. He's not Tony Robbins. He's not Les Brown. Okay, he's not Eric Thomas. And he's way too young to be Zig Ziglar, right? So who is he? Awesome question. Awesome question. So, like I said, my name is Terrence Stamps. I am originally from this town called Lakeland, Florida. From Lakeland, Florida. And I am an author of the relationship book called The Recipe, How to Avoid the Trap, which is a book I wrote for my 2 daughters, which shows them exactly what to look for in a man and how to avoid a cheater, right? So, long story. Long story. But I'm also a relationship coach and a life coach. And I'm motivational / inspirational speaker. That's something I'll show you today. But I'm so excited to be here, guys. I'm like really, really excited. And the reason why is because there was a time in my life where this would be the last place I wanted to be. Like standing up in front of an audience, speaking. Like, although I always had a dream, this was my passion. I'm living my dream right now. But I had a dream, a passion, a desire to encourage and motivate, but I was afraid to do it. Afraid. Like, I was so afraid that I would hear, you're not successful enough. You're not famous enough. How are you qualified? No one really wants to hear your story. So for years, although I knew I wanted to do this, I silenced my dream with a negative chatter in my mind. Anyone ever do that? Silence your dream with the nonsense you tell yourself. You have big dreams, but you tell yourself, I can't do that. It's impossible. That was me. And that's what I did for years. Until one day I was listening to Jim Rohn. And I played this audio. He was speaking to a group of students. And he asked the students this one question. And when I heard the question, it blew me away. It changed everything. It helped me make the mental shift, the mental leap. So I want to ask you a question today. You don't have to answer it out loud, but this is the question I would like for you to answer to yourself. He said, if you had to be the person who you are right now for the rest of your life, would you be happy? Would you be satisfied? Would you be successful? Now, studies have shown that 1 out of 3 people live their entire lives unhappy, unsatisfied, unsuccessful, but guess what? They're also unwilling to change. They don't want to change because change is hard, right? But understand this, that your life will never get better by chance. It will only get better by change. So although this is my dream, I always wanted to do this, I knew in order to get here, there was something I needed to change. So like I said, I'm from Lakeland, Florida. I have 6 brothers and 7 sisters. Yeah, there's a lot of us. My mother, she worked 3 jobs just to keep food on the table. 3 jobs. So the poverty line was like here, and we were like down here. We honestly, we didn't have much at all. But what I had was a dream. And I knew I wanted to do this, so what I began to do is study the lives of highly successful people. I mean, I studied their moves, what they did, what they went through, and here's what I found out. That there are only a few things that highly successful people do that makes them extremely successful. I don't have time to go over all of them today, but what I would like to focus in on is the single most important element to your overall success. The single most important element. And that is how you respond to your story. Because everyone has a story. And here's what I know. What it takes to be successful in your business, or your job, or your career, and what's required to be successful in your personal life goes hand in hand. You can't separate the two, although we try, right? You can't separate the two. Now, how many would agree that some of the most valuable experience comes from some of the most painful times in your life? Would you agree with that? Yeah. So here's my most painful, most challenging time in my life. Painful. I'll never forget it. It was December 9th, 2006. And I was walking in Target shopping for Christmas. And I received a phone call from my mother. And my mother was on the other end of the phone crying because she had just found out that my older sister had throat cancer. And the doctor gave her less than 7 days to live. Yeah. So she's on the phone and she said, Terrence, I'm not supposed to bury my child. I can't do it. I'm not supposed to bury my child. I can't do it, Terrence. So I said, Mom, listen. You know I love you, right? You know I love you. I want you to understand that you're not alone. You're not by yourself. I don't know what God is up to, but I believe in my heart that God does not make mistakes. Hung the phone up. Guys, listen. That very night, around 1 o'clock in the morning, I received a phone call. And the lady on the other end of the phone was screaming, she's gone! What are we gonna do? She's gone. And I said, Mom, it's okay. It's okay. I don't know what God is up to, Mom. But I believe in my heart that God doesn't make mistakes. But it wasn't my mother. It was my little sister. And she said, no! Mom died. She had a massive heart attack and she's gone. What are we gonna do? I blacked out. Like, I really don't know much of what happened after that, but here's what I do know. That for the very first time in my life, I was angry at God. Like, how can you make this mistake? Right? God, this must be a mistake. How can you make this mistake, God? She was only 52 years old. That must be a mistake. And I went from being angry at God to shifting all everywhere and became a little irrational. I said, okay, listen, God, come on. Man, I know at least 5 people you could have taken out before my mom. Hello, right? Like, come on. So it was a painful time. And the very next day, my sister passed. Yeah, so you have 2 people in 2 days. So I'll never forget getting on the plane and flying to Florida, and for 2.5 hours straight I cried. Non-stop. 2.5 hours. But when I landed in Florida, something happened. Because I could no longer cry. Because I knew I had a mission that I had to do. See, listen, Zig Ziglar says, it's not what happens to you, it's not what happens to you that matters, but how you respond to what happens to you. Listen, everyone has a story, right? Like everyone in this room, we all have a story. Sir, you have a story. Sir, you have a story. Ma'am, you have a story. Everyone in this room has a story. But the question is, how are you responding to your story? Yeah. Because here's what I know. If you want to go to your highest potential, you must know what to hold on to and what to release. Right? You must have the courage and the strength and the drive to know who and what to change. So here's another question for you. In order for you to reach that peak of success, what must you change? Like, what about your spending habits? Like, are you in over your head in debt? Are you robbing Peter to pay Paul just to piss both of them off, right? Like, really? Because here's what I know. I know that debt brings a certain level of stress that affects your creativity and your productivity. So, seriously, what must you change? What about your relationships? It is said that you are an average of the 5 people you spend the most of your time with. How did you choose your 5? What qualifies them to be in your circle? Yeah, because what we need to do is do a bold inventory and determine once and for all who we can count on and who we should count out, right? Because everyone who's riding with you is not necessarily riding for you, right? So, what must you change? What about your attitude? Ooh, right? I like attitude because your attitude determines your approach. And the way that you approach any situation will determine your success or failures. I'm going to come over here because I want someone to get that. Your attitude determines your approach. And the way you approach any situation, the way you approach your business, the way that you approach your career, the way that you approach your relationships, the way that you approach your finances, the way that you approach your family, that will determine whether you will be successful or fail. So really do a bold inventory of yourself and determine, are you that person that moves and thrives and do everything possible to make sure that they're doing the bare minimum? We all know someone like that, right? Yeah, just doing just enough to get by. Or are you the person that moves and drives to do everything with the spirit of excellence? Guys, Earl Nightingale says that excellence will always sail, right? Excellence will always win. So if you want to go to your next level, if you want to move, if you want to have what you never had, if you want to do what you've never done, then you must respond. You must respond. You must respond to your story by committing to excellence. Excellence on your job. Excellence in your career. Excellence with your family. Excellence with your spending. Excellence with your children. But guess what? Excellence is not a skill. It's an attitude. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. So, if you would just repeat after me, because I know we just came back from lunch, but if you repeat after me, if I change my mindset,
I change my mindset.
I'll change my life.
I'll change my
One more
life.
time, if I change my mindset,
If I change my mindset,
I will change my life.
I will change my life.
Listen. Your life will never, ever, ever get better by chance. It will only get better by change. And if you change your mindset, I promise you'll change your life. Thank you. Thank you. What I normally like to do, is just really give you a little bit of what I do, right? And then break down exactly, just unpack how I did it. Is that okay? You guys okay? Okay. So I like to start out with a little motivation, get you thinking about a few things. Okay? Get you thinking about a few things. And then I would just like to unpack how I did it, because that's what you came here for, right? To just really figure out, how do you motivate your troops? How do you inspire them? How do you, get them going? So, the first thing I like to do is just focus on this one thing. And I like to focus on this one thing. And that is, if you can get past this, then you're on your way. And the one thing I'm talking about is fear. And the reason why I like to start with fear is because honestly, fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. Right? It kills more dreams than failure ever will.